It's 2 a.m., and the familiar buzz of my phone interrupts the silence of the night. The soft blue light from the screen pierces through the darkness of my room, illuminating my thoughts. I've been awake even before the ringtone started. I know who it is. It's Michelle, my sister. She has a habit of calling at this hour, and it's become a routine that I can almost predict. I don't even need to hear her voice to know what's coming. "I'm sorry, but I need your help," she says, and I sigh, already slipping on my shoes. "I'll be right there," I reply, resigned to another late-night rescue mission. Each time feels like déjà vu, a blur of chaos I can't seem to escape. I've lost track of how many times this has happened, maybe the 4th or 5th time this month. What I do know is that every call follows the same script. Michelle finds herself in trouble, and I'm the one who has to fix it. Despite being adults, it feels like we've been living in different worlds for years, our lives diverging into paths so distinct that they barely intersect. We grew up in the same house, yet I was always the quiet one, the introverted sibling who preferred the company of books and computers to social gatherings. I spent my days in the library or the computer lab finding solace in the world of programming. It was a world governed by logic, where every input had a predictable output. Simple. Michelle, on the other hand, thrived on chaos. She was always in the spotlight, a whirlwind of energy that drew people in. Firecrackers and toilet paper were her trademarks, along with a series of reckless decisions that seemed to escalate with each passing year. While I was studying and preparing for a career in technology, she was getting into fights, racking up suspensions like trophies. My parents tried to paint her behavior as simply a sign of her passion, believing that one day she would settle down. But that day never came. Michelle continued to spiral out of control while I focused on my future. With each reckless adventure she undertook, I felt the pressure of my own responsibilities mount. As a systems engineer working on government projects, my life was constantly scrutinized. Every detail, every aspect of my personal life was under a microscope, especially during security clearance renewals. I had to maintain a flawless image, and every misstep from Michelle threatened to derail my career. It became increasingly difficult to keep helping her, especially when her choices put my future on the line. Last Christmas, tensions reached a breaking point. The family dinner was supposed to be a joyful occasion, with my mother's big meal and my father's celebratory wine. Michelle had promised to bring her new boyfriend, but instead, she arrived alone and clearly intoxicated. She poured herself another drink, oblivious to our worried glances. I urged her to stop, but she snapped back at me. "Shut up. It's my life." What should have been a peaceful evening devolved into chaos. I tried to reason with her, but she ignored me, and when I attempted to take my car keys to prevent her from driving in that state, she fought me for them. My parents stood by, silent and unhelpful, as if this was a normal occurrence. I managed to reclaim my keys, but Michelle stormed out, hurling insults at a neighbor, prompting a call to the police. When they arrived, I explained the situation, hoping my parents would back me up. Instead, they sided with Michelle, insisting I needed to understand her better. "She's going through a hard time," they said, as if I was the problem. That night, I left feeling more isolated than ever, not just from Michelle, but from my entire family. After Christmas, things only got worse. Every week brought another call, another arrest. My parents continued to justify her actions, while I was left to clean up the mess. I had my own life to manage, and yet I found myself repeatedly answering the phone, compelled to help. Then, one night, another 2 a.m. phone call shattered the silence, but this time was different. Michelle sounded eerily calm, devoid of her usual anger and defiance. "I need $2,000, she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. I hesitated, caught off guard. "What for?" I asked cautiously, but she wouldn't elaborate. "I can't just give you money without knowing why," I replied, my suspicion growing. Her demeanor shifted, the calm facade crumbled, revealing anger. "You've become so cold," she hissed, and in that moment, years of pent-up frustration bubbled to the surface. "I can't just give you money, Michelle. You need to tell me why." My voice remained steady, but she wasn't having any of it. "You've always been perfect, the good sister. You don't understand how hard life can be," she retorted, her words cutting deeper than I expected. I stood up, feeling my anger swell. "I've worked hard for everything I have while you've been out partying. I've been building a career and making sacrifices. Who's the one who doesn't know struggle?" I snapped, the words spilling out in a heated rush. Michelle stared at me, resentment flickering in her eyes. "Of course, the smart little sister is always right," she said, dripping sarcasm. "It was too much. Get out," I demanded, trying to regain control of the situation. "I can't help you not like this." As she turned to leave, her parting words stung. "You'll regret this." I stood there, the weight of her statement hanging in the air. I didn't believe her, not yet. But what happened next felt like a nightmare unfolding. 3 days later, I returned home from a mundane trip to the store, and everything felt off. The air was thick with something unnameable, and I noticed the lights in the living room were on, even though I always turned them off. My heart raced as I moved through the house, checking each room. At first, everything seemed normal, but when I opened my bedroom door, panic set in. My desk was a mess, drawers were pulled open, and personal documents lay scattered across the floor. My belongings were missing, and a wave of fear washed over me. Who would do this? Then it hit me. I remembered my Tesla's security camera. I rushed to check the footage, my hands trembling. And there she was, Michelle, wearing a mask, sneaking into my house. I couldn't believe it. My own sister had broken in and stolen from me. I dialed her number immediately. "What are you talking about?" she asked, feigning innocence when I confronted her about the break-in. "You don't have proof," she added, "but I did. I had the video. I've seen everything," I told her, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. The line fell silent for a moment, and then her voice returned, filled with a chilling arrogance. "If you'd just given me the $2,000, this wouldn't have happened," she said, twisting the situation in an unbelievable way. I was furious. "You're blaming me for this," I shouted. "You broke into my house, Michelle. You stole from me." But she remained unrepentant. "You wouldn't call the police," she said defiantly. "We're family." Something inside me snapped at her audacity. "Watch the clock. If the things you took aren't back in 20 minutes, I'm calling the police." The ticking of the clock echoed in the silence that followed, heavy with tension. My heart pounded as I made the call. There was no turning back now.